What does the PAC-10 want? You know, the PAC-10, the 10 schools that left Washington State and Oregon State all alone. Those 10 schools went to the Big 12, to the Big 10, to the ACC. What is the best case scenario? What is the worst case scenario for those 10 schools as they are in mediation right now with Washington State and Oregon State? Let's talk about it on episode 319 of College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like the content. Share the video with your family and friends. Jon Wilner just released his mailbag this Friday afternoon. He got some tough questions. I think he did a good job answering. What does the PAC-10 schools want? What they should be expecting? Let's get right to it. We do not go through the whole article here on episode 319. I provide a link in the description. You can read the whole article. Mailbag, what the PAC-10 want in the legal dispute, the Apple factor in night games and leagues, and new leagues and more. The PAC-2 likely will be treated like independents by the College Football Playoff Committee. We agree here at Peek Around the Corner. The question, is it possible the 10 departing schools are just stalling to ensure they receive their full payments for 2023, 2024, then quietly leave after realizing they don't really have a case for future payments? And then the next question to Jon Wilner. It seems the PAC-10 realized they left money behind and now want to come back to get it. In mediation, what would they reasonably be asking for, and what, if anything, would the two be willing to give? Jon Wilner, the Mercury News. Both questions target a central issue in the intra-conference dispute. What do the 10 outgoing schools want? What do they hope to accomplish, either through mediation or the legal proceedings in Washington? What's the end game? First, let's outline the hotline's overarching view. We do not believe the PAC-10 have adopted a punitive approach toward Oregon State and Washington State. We disagree with the notion that they are seeking to strip the conference bare and leave the PAC-2 with no choice but to join the Mountain West. Yes, of course, their actions left Oregon State and Washington State adrift, but realignment is an unforgiving, and schools do what's necessary to survive. Saying goodbye isn't necessarily wishing ill will. Again, I agree with Jon Wilner. Now that the collapse is official, they all want the Beavers and Cougars to succeed. But they also want the divorce to be fair, to be on both sides. And one aspect in particular was raised recently by a hotline source. The outgoing schools don't believe Oregon State and Washington State should be allowed to keep all the assets and then shutter the conference. How might that happen? The grant of rights term ends on August 1st, 2024. So let's use that date as our benchmark. The scenario the PAC-10 want to avoid is the following. Either through the lawsuit or mediation, Oregon State and Washington State are allowed to keep all Pac-12 assets, which include more than $60 million in NCAA tournament units and potentially 2 years of a massive Rose Bowl and college football playoff revenue. On August 1st, 2024, the 10 schools announced they're officially leaving the conference. Now, this is the scenario, the worst case scenario. What those 10 schools are fearing might happen. August 1st, the 10 schools announced they are leaving the conference. They have to do that August 1st, right? They're all going somewhere else, to the Big 12, to the Big 10, to the ACC. On August 2nd, in this scenario, 2024, tens of millions of dollars in assets are transferred from the conference coffers to Oregon State and Washington State bank accounts. And then, bam, August 3rd, 2024, the Beavers and the Cougars announced they are joining the Mountain West. That's the scenario those 10 schools do not want to happen. The outbound schools believe that outcome would be grossly inappropriate. There are assuredly other sticking points in the negotiations, but we believe that scenario is number one on the list. That is what the PAC-10 wants. They want to avoid that worst case scenario. Also important, the distribution plan for the college football playoff revenue is not guaranteed. The college football playoffs is waiting for the outcome of the Pac-12 legal dispute before making any possible adjustments to its format and financial models. What scenario might satisfy both sides? The Pac-10 cannot force the Pac-2 to rebuild the conference or settle on any single scenario. Perhaps an equal division of whatever the college football playoff revenue is available. Again, that piece is unknown for both the 2024-2025 seasons. We are merely guessing. The entire situation is unfortunate and features stress on both sides. The PAC-2, Oregon State, Washington State, they need resolution sooner than later so they can make plans for next season. Meanwhile, the Pac-12, the Pac-10 are loath to divulge internal documents and discovery because of potentially sensitive communications with their new conferences. Aha! How does it end? It's difficult to imagine the Pac-10 allowing a judge based in Whitman County, Washington, which includes Pullman, Washington, the home of the Washington State Cougars, deciding the fate of the conference. If mediation doesn't work, several outbound schools could respond by seeking temporary restraining orders in their home states. And if that's the next step, a big mess becomes much, much bigger. Another question was given. This was a off topic here a little bit. Since the Pac-2 are going to be considered independents like Notre Dame next year, how does that work for the college football playoff? Do they need to finish in the top 12 in the rankings? Jon Wilner, we would caution fans against presuming that Washington State and Oregon State are going to compete as a two-team conference next year. That's one possible outcome, but there are hurdles ahead. But if the Pac-2 becomes reality, the college football playoff power brokers could remove its Power 5 status and treat the Beavers and Cougars as either independents or a Group of 5 conference, with the former more likely. Jon Wilner, the Mercury News. Again, we did not go through the whole article. You can read the whole article in the link provided in the description. Very, very good article by Jon. Very good mailbag by Jon Wilner. Answer those questions. I agree totally. The pros and the cons, the worst case scenario, the best case and worst case scenario for the Pac-10 schools, the 10 schools that left Washington State and Oregon State behind. I understand they do not want the scenario where a Washington State and Oregon State gets all the assets, all the money that's coming to those two schools via the Pac-12 on August 1st when all those other schools leave. Then on August 3rd, August 2nd, August 3rd, Washington State and Oregon State says, okay, we go to the Mountain West with all that money, with all that assets. But on the other hand, I do think Washington State and Oregon State have a pretty good case to make, to be quite honest. Those schools left. And when they left, they did not have voting power. As far as I believe, when I read the Pac-12 bylaws and when I see what we've seen so far in public when it comes to discovery with some emails and things of that nature, and what the general counsel of the Pac-12 wrote to Colorado, wrote to USC and UCLA, it seems that Washington State and Oregon State have a pretty good case. What I anticipate, and this is just me throwing it out there, I believe they're going to have to come to a compromise. Nobody wants this to go to the courts. There is sensitive communication, information between those 10 schools and the conferences that they are going to that they don't want out in public. Washington State and Oregon State, they have a time issue. The calendar is not their friend in this situation. So I think there's going to be this is going to be solved with some compromise. However, I think Washington State and Oregon State are going to get a little bit more than the average when they peel out the assets to all the 12 schools, the Pac-12 assets that includes everything under the revenue umbrella. I think Washington State and Oregon State are going to get a little bit more than their share, and some people would say fair share. They're going to get more than the other 10 schools when it comes to splitting up the assets. I think that's probably the pathway this is going to head. Let me know in the comments section. Let me know how I got it all wrong when it comes to the final conclusion of this story. But I cannot imagine this going months and months and months into the future. There's too much at stake. There's too much at stake. Those 10 schools want to go on with their future with the other conferences. Washington State and Oregon State, they have to figure out 2024, 2025. They want to be regarded as Power 5 schools when it comes to playoff distribution money and the college football playoffs. They need the committee. They need this all to be decided. So I think we're going to get a decision, a compromise between the PAC-10 and the PAC-2. That's what I think is what's going to happen. Let me know what you think is going to happen. Stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner as we follow this story and so many others across the college football landscape as we head into week number 9 this weekend. Tomorrow, Saturday. Holy smokes. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.